Hello YouTube and welcome to the nation of free to play. I'm Mr. Mondstadt and today it is time to tackle the brand new Spiral Abyss for version Luna 1 and share my tips and tricks to help you get 36 stars. Let's go! Let's have a look at the enemy lineup first. In 12-1 first half we face one Mirror Maiden and the Cactus local legend. In the second half it's two Water Phantasms and the Hydro Tulpa. In 12-2 first side we have two Hilichurl Rogues and the Radiant Moonfly. This one is a new boss, so I will talk about its mechanics in a bit. In the second half we get three waves of enemies, first two Rift Hounds, then two Mechs and lastly two Eremites. And in the last chamber we have to fight one Fatui and the Knuckle in the first half, followed by three Black Serpent Knights and the three Magukenki in the second half. Alright, what are the blessings? First half, characters Electro Charge damage increased by 200% and Lunar Charge damage increased by 75%. Second half, characters Bloom damage increased by 200% and Lunar Bloom damage increased by 75%. Little surprise there, Ineffa and later on Flint's boost, plus Lauma of course, so yeah, great. Who should you play? Of course, if you have Ineffa or Lauma, you should have a pretty easy time, but I will try to clear this abyss without either of them. Still, for the Cactus, you ideally want some Hydra and Electro to break its shields, so Varessa, Neuvillette, Auroron, Clarin, Furina, Yelan, Xingqiu, etc. are all useful. Also, you don't have to use Electro and Hydro exclusively, so Arlecchino Overvape or Mavuika should also work, as long as you have some Electro and Hydro units. Also for the first side, I recommend a healer for the second boss. For the second side, you are overall pretty flexible with your party. Hydro DPSs are not recommended because of the Tulpa obviously, and AoE units have an advantage as well, but apart from that, most strong teams should be able to handle the second half. Skirk, Mavuika, Arlecchino, Varessa, the usual suspects. Of course, you can play Bloom if you have Nilou, since Bloom damage will be buffed significantly in this abyss. And if you don't have Nilou, Hyper Bloom should also work, even without Lauma, but I will test it out. With all that out of the way, let's take a closer look at every chamber. 12-1-1. The Mirror Maiden should not be too big of an issue, so I will explain the Cactus mechanics instead. This guy is not new and was also featured in the last abyss, still, here is how it works. The enemy will summon three heads and hides underneath one of them. He will also continuously switch the heads to confuse you, however, just look for the yellow aura and mustache face on the heads and attack that one because that is the correct one. The purple auras are the clones and attacking those will not help you at all. If you apply Hydro and Electro to the head, it will stop switching, which is one reason why Electro and Lunar Charge are recommended. The second reason is the head's HP. In order to defeat this boss you have to break the head's HP bar. However, the head's res against everything is very high, except Hydro and Electro. Also, the head takes 300% increased Electro and Lunar Charge damage. Once you've got rid of the head, the boss will reappear and be stunned, plus its res against all elements will be reduced, so now is the time to go ham on this Cactus, no matter the element. Also, the amount of Electro, Hydro, Electro or Lunar Charge damage you dealt to the head will be recorded and the boss will lose that amount once you break the head. This does not work for other elemental damage though, which is why you want Hydro and Electro in your party against this local legend. However, if you have that, this annoying opponent becomes half that bad. 12-1-2. In the second half, the two Hydro Phantasms can hit rather hard, so a healer/shielder is not a bad idea. Other than that, they are pretty straightforward. The Tulpa is the main challenge of this half, and while you cannot melt on this boss because of its Hydro aura, you should be able to trigger Bloom, Hyper Bloom, Vape and other reactions very easily. From my personal experience, I found Overload to be a very strong team comp against the Tulpa, since you can get buffs from Chevrus and still vape your hits with your Pyro DPS. For the tulpas mechanics, try to defeat the mini tulpas before the big one can absorb them and try to dodge its attacks as good as you can, because otherwise these blows might one-shot you as well. 12-1. In this chamber we face two hydro-hilichurl rogues first, but these are rather squishy, even though they have 50% hydro resistance. However, if you have some form of brass shred in your party like 4-piece Viviswirl or Xylonin, you should not really notice that. The actual challenge is the Radiant Moonfly. Those of you who farm for Lauma should be familiar with this enemy already, but let's go over its Abyss mechanics. First up, the Dendromorph has 70% resistance against Dendro and Pyro, so consider this when choosing your party. Additionally, this boss will cause all your characters to lose HP and decreases the damage you deal by 50%. If that was not enough, it will also decrease your incoming healing by 40% and your crit rate by minus 100%, which means you will not be able to crit at all. This sounds diabolical, but the good news is there is a way to get around this mechanic. Once all your party members have healed to their max HP, these debuffs will be removed and instead your crit rate increases by 15% and damage dealt to this enemy is also increased by 50%. So your best strategy is to bring a strong healer, ideally a party-wide healer that can out-heal the minus 40% incoming healing debuff. You can of course also try to brute force it, but you should have an easier time with some HP restoration. For Rena's healing mode, Kokomi, Xylonin, Jean, Charlotte or Escoffier are some valid options, but feel free to get creative as well. Once the debuffs are stopped, you should be able to get rid of this Moonfly and move on to 12-2. In the second half we get a bit of Inazuma with 2 Rift Hounds, a bit of Fontaine with 2 mechs, and a bit of Sumeru with 2 Eremites. To be fair, there is not much to talk about, just get rid of them as fast as you can. Some healing for the Rift Hounds can be helpful, and for the Eremites, kill their pets first to stun them. That's about it. 12-3-1. The Fatui member is easy enough to deal with, but the main boss here is Knuckle Duckle. How does this mechanical duck work in Spiral Abyss? Well, it will summon 5 mini ducks and increase its resistance against all elements to 150%, which means you have to deal with this mechanic. In order to get the resistance back down to normal 10%, you will have to defeat the mini ducks. The problem? These ducks have 150% res as well to everything except Electro. The Electro res is normal, so you need some Electro damage. The second way to defeat the ducks is to trigger Electro Charge or Lunar Charge, because each of the small ducks will be defeated automatically after it took Electro Charge or Lunar Charge damage 10 times. With that said, these duckies have a total of 26% of Knuckle Duckle's HP, and every time you defeat one small duck, the boss will lose 5% of its HP. After all the small ducks are defeated, the rest of the big one will be down and you can deal big numbers to it. So to summarize once more, kill all 5 mini ducks as soon as they were summoned and use Electro characters to attack them. If your Electro units are not strong enough, add a Hydro unit and deal Electro or Lunar Charge damage to each ducky 10 times to get rid of it. After that, go all out on Knuckle Duckle. And last but not least, 12-3-2. This chamber is the most AoE in this abyss, with 3 Black Serpent Knights and 3 Mabukenki. The Knights have 1 Cryo, 1 Pyro and 1 Hydro dude with 30% res to that element. But 30% res these days is not reason enough to adjust your team, so you can basically force your way through the first wave. The Mabukenki have one with slightly higher Anemo res and one with slightly higher Cryo res, but again, not enough to worry about. The main problem might be their attacks, as they can hit hard and keep interrupting your unit. Therefore, a strong shield can make your life a lot easier in this chamber. On top of that, I would recommend some AoE units and avoid single target oriented damage dealers. If you do all of that, you should be just fine. And with that, that is all you need to know for the new Spiral Abyss. Personally, I think the first half is centered a bit too much around Lunar Charge, but the second half is overall fun. Lots of teams you can try out, and Hyperbloom is finally viable again, also thanks to Lauma. If you liked this video and it helped you in clearing the Spiral Abyss, please leave a like or even subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate your support. Also, feel free to leave your questions regarding team building and so on in the comments down below. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!